Hello, District 1 residents. Audrey Fesik here. I want to start off by applauding some of the positive things that happened for Pompano Beach this week. During our long meeting on Tuesday, and my first City Commission meeting as a newly elected District 1 City Commissioner, we were able to accomplish several things successfully, including approving contract extensions for software that allows our city to run more efficiently, a long-awaited skate park, and the 2025 Public Art Plan. When we work together and hear one another's concerns with an open mind, it's encouraging that we can come together to make some great things happen for the good of Pompano Beach residents. Last night, I was also treated to a great meeting with Parks and Recreation concerning District 1 Parks Master Plan. I plan to do a separate video in order to allow residents to view the PowerPoint that was provided to us during the meeting and allow residents who were not able to attend the opportunity to provide initial feedback as the master plan begins coming together. Unfortunately, my positive evening ended by receiving messages and emails regarding a video that was posted by Mayor Hardin. While I am grateful to know that Mayor Hardin can now pronounce my last name, I was very disappointed in the content of the video, as I have treated everyone with professional courtesy and respect, even when our opinions differed. I wanted to take the opportunity to respond publicly to Mayor Hardin's video that he posted all over social media last night, calling out some of the decisions that were made during Tuesday's City Commission meeting. I will not speak for anyone but myself, and I will not attempt to assume anything regarding others' choices or thoughts. Number one, I applaud the efforts of the BSO to continually find ways to add value and bring education and safety programs to our city. I am grateful we have officers who are committed to enriching public safety efforts and finding creative ways to fund additional projects. Initially, I had considered a yes vote on the BSO grant agenda item. I was unaware that $30,000 would be an additional responsibility to the city through our general fund, rather than being included in our existing BSO contract valued at over $60 million. My concern, and a valid one, was to make sure we had money available in the general fund to pay the taxes and additional fees associated with accepting this grant. That information was not provided to me or other commissioners in the backup documents. Considering that we have had budget deficits in various budgets, resulting in the city having to essentially rob Peter to pay Paul, or eliminating or delaying needed services and amenities, I stand by my decision. Once I realized that we as taxpayers were responsible for the additional costs, and I had no knowledge of whether or not we had the money available and or budgeted for the additional expenses, I had to vote no. If I had the appropriate backup information provided to me, then I would have been able to make a fully vetted decision as opposed to just going along with something because that's just how it's always been done. To call out specific city commissioners for voting a certain way when those commissioners were not provided with appropriate backup information is not an effective managerial process, in my opinion, especially how it was handled both during the course of the City Commission meeting and afterwards, as evidenced by Mayor Hardin's video posted to social media last night. At the time of the vote, no one had full backup to make an informed decision, and we are being publicly chastised for erring on the side of caution. Once we are provided that information, I would be happy to revisit that agenda item at the next City Commission meeting. Second, in regards to the union contract agenda item, I want to start off by again publicly praising our hardworking city employees and letting them know that I value all of their efforts to keep our city running efficiently. We received our final agenda for Tuesday's 1 p.m. City Commission meeting with limited backup information on Thursday afternoon. With all of our holiday events planned and with the city being closed on Friday, I saved the longest documents for weekend reading. I read through the 91-page contract document, and I did have some questions answered at my meeting with the city manager on Monday afternoon prior to the City Commission meeting on Tuesday. As you can imagine, this union contract is a very complex document with many important components. There was not an appendix attached that clearly explained the proposed changes to job titles or pay grades. As a newly elected commissioner, I was not involved in any previous conversations related to this union contract. I look forward to having my additional questions answered during Monday's special meeting, and I hope we can resolve any concerns. Because I did not have adequate information provided in the backup and a short time frame to absorb all of the agenda items with minimal backup provided, I was not comfortable voting yes on Tuesday to agree to a $6.18 million contract spanning 3 years. This union contract agenda item was delayed in order to clarify additional concerns. I believe that erring on the side of caution represents performing my fiduciary duty to the residents of District 1 and Pompano Beach as a whole. I would not agree with Mayor Hardin's assessment of my valid concerns as qualifying as financial shenanigans. That terminology, when considering millions of taxpayer dollars on one agenda item, is, in my opinion, offensive. Number 3, in regards to the sewer wastewater tariff. I believe I addressed my concerns regarding this agenda item and that I explained myself appropriately during Tuesday's meeting. I had multiple District 1 residents reach out to me via phone calls, text messages, social media, and emails, all expressing their desire for me to vote no on this particular agenda item. While I understand that the city has obligations to the county for wastewater and sewer pass-through charges, we employ both city employees and contracted consultants who are professionals at financial forecasting and planning for budget increases or potential budget increases. Their responsibility is to ensure that we have a backup budget or fund in place in order to subsidize additional expenses that we may need to have passed on to taxpayers. At the meeting, both staff contacts in charge of this agenda item were not able to provide any alternative solution or compromise in order to alleviate the additional strain that these charges would pose to residents all over Pompano Beach who are already struggling to make ends meet. In addition, it is unfair, in my opinion, to continually ask residents to shoulder any additional financial burdens when our city should be operating well within budget constraints due to the sheer amount of growth and added taxpayer revenue that has been provided. I stand by my decision on this particular agenda item because I was truly representing the best interests of my constituents and acting on their behalf with a fiduciary duty that I take very seriously. Mayor Hardin also mentioned in his video that my vote no on this particular agenda item would also put the city at risk for millions of dollars in additional fees due to a debt ratio regarding our GO bond obligations. I disagree completely. If anything, the responsibility to ensure that our city is running on a budget that is appropriate, allowing for potential unforeseen expenses by having a safety net budget in place, is the responsibility of the city manager. As I mentioned during the city commission meeting, many residents in my district have already been burdened with rising HOA fees, large assessments due to new condo regulations, cost of living increases, inflation, and other expenses, all while trying to live on a fixed income. It adds an additional unfair burden on the backs of my constituents. I do not appreciate nor deserve being treated with the disrespect that I experienced on Tuesday or last night. I also do not appreciate being chastised that I was supposed to have voted a certain way and then attempted to be coerced by our city attorney and Mayor Hardin to encourage rethinking decisions that were made, when that would take away from the very reason for a need for the approval process by a city commission as a whole. Mayor Hardin encouraged you to reach out to myself and other city commissioners that voted to protect the interest of their residents, and I encourage you to do the same. Please feel free to ask Mayor Hardin, along with any other commissioners, our city manager, Greg Harrison, or our city attorney, Mark Berman, why we are in this predicament in the first place. Our city's overspending has been an issue long before I became a commissioner. Our current situation is clearly not being solved by the rampant overdevelopment, density bonuses, and added tax roll revenue. The issue we do have is that our city is not being budgeted appropriately. As a city, we have spent money irresponsibly for decades that exceeds our ability to pay our debts. As a member of the city commission, the city manager, the city attorney, the mayor, and all the city commissioners must work together in order to effectively run our city, as opposed to hurling insults and behaving like spoiled children in a professional and public forum. Thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you on Monday.